Today, I believe it's November still, 29th, and it's just about 11:22 in the morning. So here I am, and here you are. I saw there was one person waiting. They probably were like, oh, well, she'll take half an hour, so I got plenty of time to go do what I need to do. So I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Let me start with some words of wisdom. Love will save the day. I just think it's imperative to stay positive, especially when we're focusing on these most extremely unfortunate and dark situations. Hey, Bex, good morning to you. Yes, so glad you're here. Thanks for saying hi. So let's see. Can you see my little thumbs up? Can you see the squirrel? Please hit your like button and do this if you don't mind sharing the video if you like it. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, or check to make sure that you still are. And turn on your notification bell to ring if you like to be notified. Sunset Salty Sage, greetings. Good morning. So yesterday, my earring giveaway, Repent Salvation, won. So I just need to get an email from Repent Salvation, and then I can send these little black beaded earrings off to Repent Salvation. Can you see those? Would it be better maybe on not a black surface? Like maybe you can see them better like that. Yeah, that's much better, huh? So yeah, my email address again is justiceatooz@gmail.com. So, all right, let's jump right in. How are you guys today? And what do you think about that discovery that I had yesterday with the billionaire president of the university? Weird, huh? Pretty new handle pick. Oh, I don't mess around with those things, and it's like it changed, and I like the green one with Weezer at the grotto, but in Beverly Hills, from their song Beverly Hills, but it changed, and I honestly don't even know how to switch it back. So I like your photo of Kylie too. Oh, which one? Which photo of Kylie? Yeah, I have a lot of really great photos of Kylie. Are you talking about the one that is sometimes, and again, I don't know how it happens, but I love it when I'm in a chat and my icon has Kylie in the yellow canoe? I wish I could make it do that all the time especially when I'm in chats covering her case. But yeah, I don't know why. Sometimes it shows and sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, I'll figure all that out. So we are here today to follow up on the comparing and contrasting Idaho 4 with Kylie Rodney. So the last couple of days, I've been speaking mostly to the Idaho 4 case, and then drawing some parallels and comparisons with Kylie Rodney's case. A while ago, I was doing that same thing where I don't remember if I was making lists or what, but there's so many commonalities, starting with kids hanging out with friends, quote unquote, I call them frenemies, and then ceasing to live, like expiring. That's highly unusual. But kids or people getting unalived at parties is not that unusual. It's just, I think, unusual with, I'll just say it, more like white upper middle class people. It's something that happens at parties regardless of class and race and that sort of thing. But honestly, and forgive me, I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but in more like ghetto types of culture and environment, people cease to be alive at parties more often. Like, it's kind of a normal thing, and nobody ever saw nothing. That's just the way it goes. So, sometimes those people are removed from the place where it happened, and then they're dumped somewhere. But there's a code of silence, you guys. There's an absolute code of silence. And if you break that code, you know you'll be next. So let's talk about Stacy Chapin. I'm terrible with names, and I don't mean any disrespect at all. Of course, I don't mean any disrespect in reflecting on the things that she said or the way that she said them. And of course, my heart absolutely breaks for everybody who lost someone in these situations. And there's absolutely no wrong way to grieve. But looking for information and clues in the information that is presented to us, I think is all we have, because a lot of it's being covered up, a lot of it is secretive, and you can gather and glean a lot from what's said, what's not said, and the way people say things. So I can see your chat today a little bit better. I was gonna actually do the orientation of my phone sideways so that the words would be bigger, but I cleaned my glasses a whole bunch. The glare is low, so I can read. Sherry, good morning. And Beck, sunset, yes, it's Kylie in my picture. Oh, nice. And the pool boy, that's a funny handle. Real question, in nearly 16 months, are we any closer to solving this tragic case? You know, I think that we are. I think that the not giving up is super important, and you know, time will tell. Eventually things will come out, whether that's this year, next year, 20 years from now, God forbid. Eventually the truth will come out. The truth can only be hidden for so long. What is that saying? Three things can only be hidden so long: the sun, the moon, and the truth. It's like a Buddhist saying. Yeah. So the sun, the moon, and the truth. Yeah, they can be hidden. They can be completely eclipsed, but only for so long. So this too shall pass. And wouldn't it be nice for people that care about Kylie to get answers and justice for Kylie? And, you know, I think a lot of people that aren't into true crime don't even understand that justice is a cornerstone of the true crime community. So I find people all the time that say, oh, I love true crime. And then I tell them the name of my channel and they kind of scratch their head. They're like, justice? Huh. Because it's a different angle than a lot of people take. A lot of people are just fascinated with criminal activity. A lot of people are fascinated with the mysteries. But myself, and I think a lot of people that subscribe to my channel, we're fascinated with finding justice. And you might not find justice in our judicial system, but you know, we all have to answer to our maker one day, right? Karma, she's got our numbers, and she's a hutch, I like to say. You know, and what comes around goes around. So whatever it is that you're putting out into the world, it's gonna come back and bite you on the rear end. And hopefully you're putting good things out into the world and it'll come back and pat you on the back, right? So just got here. Susan Dodge, hello. And prayer hands, Rachel Smith. So yeah, I wanted to speak more to the Stacy Chapin interview with the Chapin parents, and she really controls the interview for the most part. She dominates, that's a better word to use. And in my video yesterday, I put a ton of links in the description. I did get the name of that channel right, the one that at the end I was really struggling with, because it's called Innocent Until. So I have it written down in front of me too, just to be sure. Innocent Until is the name of the channel that I was referring to. And he made a video, I think yesterday, kind of following up on the video that I linked. And he was kind of criticizing himself for being so critical of the mother, which I thought was a sweet self reflection. At the same time, I think it's really important to trust our instincts and our response, our especially our emotional response to these types of things. So when the mother is talking about how safe she feels with her other two kids on the campus of the University of Idaho, where her one child was slaughtered straight up, it's interesting. Like, it doesn't make sense, really. I mean, I'm not criticizing her for saying that. I'm just stunned because she's lost a child on that campus. And I think that the words that she said in the interview, that what she said to Maisie and Hunter as they were driving away from campus the night that it happened, was, I don't know exactly what happened here, but we will not let this take our family down. And those words are fascinating to me. Like, I don't know what happened here. Like, I mean, you know, you lost your kid, obviously, but she's saying she doesn't know the backstory. And she's implying that there is a backstory. And by keeping her kids on campus, I can actually see how that would make her feel safe. Because if anything were to happen to Maisie or Hunter, it would be obvious that her family was being targeted, right? If they were somewhere else and something happened, you could say, well, it's, you know, random or what have you. But as long as they stay in Moscow on campus, if anything happens to them, it's going to be beyond suspicious. So I agree with her. They are safer there than anywhere else. So that's just my take on it. Let's see. And I'll be back. Bex, have a work meeting. Hopefully it will be quick. I hope that it's quick because I don't know how long I can stay on. You know, I usually like to stay on an hour. Yesterday I wrapped up a little bit quicker because I was flustered with the glare and problems and, you know, the dog barking and getting distracted. Um, Today I was hoping that I can stay on for a little bit over an hour. So we'll see how it goes. Um, you know, fear is not a bad thing. The book that I often refer to, called The Gift of Fear, is looking at fear as a gift, as implied in the title, of course, but that is your instinct giving you information to protect yourself, to take care of yourself, to make sure that you're safe. So when you feel fear, there's a reason for it and you respond to it. And that's a good thing. If you never sensed fear, then you wouldn't know when you're in a dangerous situation. But there's also that element to fear that you don't want to let people know that you're afraid. That, you know, animals are like that. Like if a dog smells fear, but people are like that. If people can sense that you're scared, they might be more apt to victimize you, take advantage of the situation, you know? So you don't want to let on that you're scared. You want to keep a poker face and keep yourself safe. So yeah, I wanted to speak to the whole billionaire thing with, I think the way you say his first name is Coomer. I think it's Cumer, Coomer Scott Green. Unbelievable. I put up a community post with the screenshot and also with the link of where I got the screenshot that shows exactly how many billions his net worth was in 2019, 2020, 21, 22, and 23. So essentially the last 4 years. And I'm really glad I ended my video yesterday the way I did, and I hope that it hit people the way that I was intending it. My question at the end of yesterday's video was, how do you increase your fortune? And I'm paraphrasing. How do you increase your fortune by $1 billion in 4 years? How do you make a basically a 50% increase in your net worth in 4 years? And the discussion right before that was about substance distribution. So I'm really curious, and I'm just going to come straight out and say it because I don't want to, leave it to guesswork. Oh, but I better say my disclaimer. Everything I say is simply my opinion, simply for the sake of conversation, always hoping to open up a discussion and to be educational and to learn and grow and become a better person. Honestly, that is my goal every day. And every single video that I've made to date has been for YouTube, and it's an entertainment platform. So now that that's said, I can say that, these brick and mortar establishments are extremely expensive to run, and they have become somewhat obsolete in this day and age of technology. When you have universities, when you have fraternities, when you have sororities, these brick and mortar establishments come with a very high maintenance budget. And a lot of businesses were struggling before COVID. And then a lot of businesses were struggling after COVID. It's been a while, but remember that wasn't the university under investigation for potentially fraud with the unemployment? I think I brought that up again a few weeks ago. Remember when people were put on the stay-at-home orders, the shelter-in-place, the lockdown of March 2020, and a lot of people were collecting unemployment, and there was a $600 a week bonus of your unemployment on top of whatever you would be drawing from your unemployment. So that was $2,400 a month bonus. And in a lot of areas across the country, I think pretty much all the states, it might have lasted for about 3 months. And then states like the one I live in, Ohio, the state quit distributing the money that was coming from the federal government, and they kept it for themselves. There were 3 states, I think, that did that. And the money was still coming to the state of Ohio and the 2 others that were doing that. And there was a class action lawsuit in Ohio. I don't know about the other states, but it lost. So the state got to keep all of that money. I remember early in this case hearing that the University of Idaho was under investigation for maybe fabricating students, maybe fabricating employment and unemployment. So that's one of the many things that's kind of fallen by the wayside. And the money always follow the money. So it just goes without saying, to have $1 billion profit in 4 years when your entire net worth is under 2 billion, to have then a whole another billion, and I think it was slightly over 1 billion actually. The numbers are all in that community post, but that's kind of absurd. Like, that's a huge return on your investment, and there's very few legal investments that have that kind of high money rolling, right? I mean, and what's legal versus what's illegal. So I like to try to be very diplomatic and say, a diversified portfolio with legal investments and maybe some more creative investments. I mean, people get really greedy. Like, there's never enough money in the world. And people want you to Google them and see that they're worth $1 billion or $2 or $3 billion. I mean, it's this whole bravado thing. So I was very shocked to see to reiterate from yesterday, shocked to see that the president of the University of Idaho was a billionaire. Shocked to see that he was almost as wealthy as the wealthiest person in the state of Vandersloot. There's no indication that he's related to Joran Vandersloot, but his last name is Vandersloot. I thought that was interesting. And he's worth slightly over 3 billion, I think, according to the interwebs. Also very fascinating is that Kumar Scott Green, graduated from Moscow High School, graduated from the University of Idaho, was president of his fraternity when he was a student there, and his son is a student there now, and his son is the president, I believe, of that same fraternity, which just so happens to be the same fraternity that Caden Young was president of. Caden Young, to refresh anyone's memory, I'm sure most of you, the bells are ringing, is the gentleman, the young adult who passed away in Washington State from an overdose in Centralia or Chehalis in an apartment. And Demetrius and Emma were arrested for his passing away, but then they were sprung. They were kept in the same jail as the criminal defendant. They were sprung because of an issue with jurisdiction, because the substances came from Moscow, but the incident happened in Washington State. So why haven't they been rearrested? Like, that's nuts. That's so freaking crazy. Like I said yesterday, this whole freaking case is crazy. So trying to straighten things out and make heads and tails of the information is rough, to say the least. But taking note too that Caden Young was, I believe he was the editor of the Argonaut, the school newspaper, but he was an investigative reporter. And it just begs the question of, was he investigating something that someone didn't want investigated? What a coinky dink that he was a previous president of the same fraternity that the billionaire's son is the president of now, if I'm getting my facts straight. So the year that Scott Green graduated from the University of Idaho, I'm wondering who his peers were. Like, was he there around the same time as, say, Chief Fry and Julie Fry? And you got to remember that Julie Fry is not only the in charge of the treasury, like she's the financial director of the city of Moscow. She was also elected to be the clerk of courts for Latah County, I think is how you say it. And that was November 8th last year, and that was only 5 days before this happened. That to me is sus, absolutely sus. It might not have any bearing, but her and the police chief are in a very, very powerful marriage. And then being chummy with the local billionaire, that's like a trifecta, you guys. So were Scott Green and Julie and James Fry, were they all at the University of Idaho together? Because I'm pretty sure they're close to the same age. I'm pretty sure that Kaylee's parents are like 4 or 5 years younger than the Frys, and so they might have graduated prior to, but I might be getting it backwards. It could be that her parents are older than the Frys. I'm pretty sure they're a little bit younger. Anyway, there's a new video that just came out this morning, and I did have a chance to watch it. Crime Circus, one of my favorite content creators, and he's discussing the Kopacka case. And I've said it since day one. There's no way that law enforcement could know on day one that there was zero connection between Kopacka and what happened in Moscow. There's no way they could be so sure and confident of that. And for them to say that so definitively just a few hours after he was taken out by the SWAT team made me very suspicious. And these two epic, fatal situations were in a very close space proximity, like 7 miles apart, and a very close time proximity, I think about 31 days apart. And these are small towns. The chances of these two things being completely unrelated is unlikely to me. Of course, it's possible, but for law enforcement to say so definitively that there's no connection when they've only had a few hours to investigate and there's no time to cross-reference and to make sure that things check out and to make sure that there's no connection is completely insane. Completely insane. So one of the things that Drip Drop brought up in his video this morning is that there's still not public information of where the 911 call came from to alert law enforcement about the quote unquote mental health crisis that Kopacka may or may not have been having. So law enforcement is stating for the record that they don't know when or how the 911 call came in. And that just really doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well. Let me read some of your comments before they go away. Hey, Annie Ruler, that bonus pay spoiled people, especially young ones, bored at back on meth, Board Street, direct track back on meth. Now waiting free food and future low-income housing. Homeless funding is the new industrial complex. Wow. Wow, that's pretty, a pretty powerful spin on things, Annie Ruler. And I know you are always really sharp on top of things. Let's see, Dana says, seems like they are the exact type that would have taken advantage of the PPE loans in a fraudulent way. So yeah, and that was a situation that was brought up in the Kylie Rodney case, that her mother was under investigation for potentially fraudulent PPE loans. So those loans, we all know, were made to small businesses so that the small businesses could continue to pay their employees and then not have the expectation of ever having to pay the loan back. And it was, in the Kylie Rodney case, looking like Lindsay was indeed having to pay those loans back, that she said she had employees that she didn't have, that she fabricated a payroll to get the free money, which I'm sure a lot of people did. And I'm sure a lot of people got busted. I'm sure, I would think that more people didn't get busted than did. But yeah, unfortunately, you're always going to have a lot of fraud in times of crisis like that, you know, like over there in Maui with the whole fire situation. Hey, Mother Teresa and CB. And Annie says, if Brent is passed, he passed when cops got there. Yeah, I mean, remember too, there was the information about him dropping papers out the third-story window, documents, literally with his hand physically dropping documents out of the window. Again, that information was early in the case and then it just like disappeared and people quit talking about it. And it's easy, I think, for all of us to get distracted with new information and forget about these things. But if that's true, I'm curious what was on those documents. And it always seemed highly probable to me that he knew things about the Idaho 4 that were dangerous for him to know. And that maybe the powers that be were afraid that he was the weakest link. So I hate to think that there's this big conspiracy theory, but it sure seems like it. I mean, for the law enforcement, for the SWAT team to not utilize the protected person protocol in their dealing with a Purple Heart vet with a head injury and severe complex PTSD, it's not only wrong, it's also very curious that none of the veterans groups spoke out and said, hey, you can't do this to an Army vet. That is another one of the many, many red flags. So let's see. Annie Ruler says, that is step direct. My other in Oregon. Oh, that is stepdaughter. My other stepdaughter in Oregon. Millions in 100 tents, water, gift cars to homeless. Studies eat up the millions. Sad joke. It's really sad. I mean, I moved away from Seattle about 14 years ago. And at that point in time, marijuana, recreational marijuana was just about to become legalized. And when I've gone back to visit, everything has changed so much. The numbers of homeless people are like times maybe 1,000 of what they were when we moved away 14 years ago. There's everything is a lot more expensive. Everything's a lot fancier. And that's not just in Seattle, that's across the state from what I saw. And it's just unbelievable how many people live under the Interstate 5. It's like Tent City in the middle of downtown Seattle. There was none of that when I lived there in the late 90s and early 2000s. I mean, maybe a person here and there, but there were other tent cities, but not right there in the middle of downtown under the bridge by the business district. They were further south, like down by the old kingdom, or other areas that I'm probably not even privy to. But to have that be just right there in the open, and it's very unsafe for the people that are without housing, and it's very unsafe for the people that work downtown and have to, interact and go through this every day, morning, noon, and night. So, again, in Sacramento, I know a lawyer sued the city of Sacramento for not handling their homeless situation. But yeah, I think the whole West Coast it's pretty rough. It's pretty bad. You're not going to have that so much in a place like Idaho because it's so cold. So even Eastern Washington too. The winters there are much more severe than Western Washington. So you're not going to have quite the homeless population, at least not year round. But yeah, that's a big issue. A very big issue, and it's just heartbreaking, you know. Rachel Smith says, that's me, bless you. And Annie says, he may have been asked to turn off computers. Well, yes, Annie Ruler. I've never been able to confirm or deny if he was the IT guy for the University of Idaho, but that was a rumor early on that he was the IT guy for the University of Idaho, and that he may have been instructed to turn the server off to make the campus go dark that night. May have. But what those alleged documents are that he was throwing out of his window, the whole thing is just bizarre. Bizarre. I will put the link to Drip Drop's new video in the description here. And he points out that it was the very first thing that came out of the criminal defendant's father's mouth when they were pulled over in Indiana when they were driving cross country the very next day. And I think a lot of us have asked this question. Did the criminal defendant just barely escaped being swatted himself? Like, is that why they left town when they did? It begs the question, because that SWAT incident started, I believe, just a few hours after the criminal defendant and his father got in their car and drove south and threw off the feds that were keeping surveillance on them. They had no idea where they went until the license plate showed up on a license plate reader in Colorado 13 hours later. And it just happened to be the same town that the owner of the 1122 King or Queen Road or Street, you know, the guy who then gave the house to Scott, to Kumar Scott Green. So weird. And then the car, that white Hyundai Elantra that was wrecked in Oregon. And I've heard that it was Eugene, Oregon, but then the most recent thing that I saw, it looked like it was outside of Portland, Oregon. But that car was said to have no connection to the case. And then come to find out that that car was registered to the guy who owns the house, the 1122 Queen Road, whatever it is. That's insane. Hey, Mark. Let's see. I'll say Brent wasn't IT, but they have had the ability, and Fry Payne utilized him maybe. Right. Absolutely. I mean, Payne and his brother Kyle were in the same type of armed forces, being the paratroopers that would gain access to denied access locations in Afghanistan. Everyone did wait for me to start the stream. LOL. Hi, everyone. You did wait for me to start that stream. So Mark, thanks so much for coming in. And anybody who's not subscribed to Mark Molina, please subscribe to Mark. He is on it. He is doing some really good work, and he would love to have as many trolls as he possibly could, right? The more the merrier. So yeah, I was really surprised this morning to see the Bubbly Waters was promoting my channel because of the information that I put out yesterday about the president of the university. And so she's all over that, which is really exciting that she's looking into that. She wanted to know what my sources were. And, you know, I know, like I said, there's a lot of links in my description from yesterday. She might not have had a chance to look at it yet. But then I put another link in that community post that I made this morning. And that's the link that goes directly to those numbers that I screenshot for the community post. And again, we always need to be mindful of the fact that there's all kinds of crap on the internet that's not true. So it could be a load of horse manure for all I know. We don't know Stacy. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. And I want to rewind it, but I'm afraid that I might knock down my phone if I do. Hey, Mark, did you sleep in after the vodka last night? No, I did not have too much vodka. I had 2 interviews. It went well. Oh, that's exciting, Mark. I know you've said that you're out of work, and it sounds like you have a really amazing work history with YouTube and Google. And it seems like you'd be a great employee. So I hope that the interviews turn into some offers. And even more than having a job, you know, the only thing worse than having a job is looking for a job. The only thing worse than looking for a job is having a job. That's Kids in the Hall. But yeah, it's also terrible to get rejected, right? Getting rejected from a job is much like getting dumped in a relationship. It just really takes a toll on our self-esteem and our self-confidence. Right on target, Jazz. So weird phrasing. Weird phrasing. Okay. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Mark, but I'll get there. And Annie says the guy sleeping in the car was Etsy employee, other Etsy LLC employee, took title allegedly. Car was in Moscow that weekend. Guy is axe thrower allegedly. What date car was transferred? Yeah, that's the other thing is there was a dude sleeping in the car that was wrecked. Thanks, Annie. Thank you for all that information. It's just ridiculous trying to keep up with this, isn't it? Nice, Mark. Good luck, CB says. And Poise the Noise says, hi, Justice. It's been a while, Poise. Thanks for coming on over. Fear is a liar. Interesting quote there. And let's see. Yeah, lots of support for you, Mark. So yeah, support Mark's channel. Mark is doing really good work. He pretty much only makes a video when he's got a nugget, to use Shan's phrase. And you know, she had a live last night and I was really tired, so I caught some of it, but not all of it. But I loved what her guest on the panel said. Forgetting who it was right now at the moment. It wasn't Illuminated Mind. It was somebody like that. Crane Kicks said, I think it was her, that Shan asked her a question and then she was like, are you still here? Where'd you go? And she said, oh, I just squirreled off. What was the question? And I just got such a kick out of that. I've been thinking about it ever since. I just squirreled off. And you can hopefully see my little squirrel back there. You know, too cute. Yeah, we all squirrel off sometimes, don't we? But we try to stay focused. And let's see. What else? So when I was mentioning some of my favorite content creators yesterday, I only mentioned one, I think. It was 1111 Tarot with Mama D. And I wanted to mention a bunch of others because there's so many good channels, and you know, we don't need to be bashing each other. We don't need to be criticizing each other. I think it's valid to critique each other and to do reactions to each other. We're all kind of crowdsourcing our information. So sometimes we're well aware of that. Like we're like, oh yeah, I picked up that information from Innocent Until. And other times you're not sure where you got it and other people are borrowing it too. So then it just seems like it's common knowledge. But I think it's important when we know we're parroting other content creators' information, I think it's important to kick them credit. For me, I feel like that's just the responsible and ethical thing to do. So, you know, I get a lot of my information from some of these channels that I'm going to mention. Bubbly Waters, Innocent Until, Crime Circus, Ninja, that's Ninja Chihuahua, Squirrels on Fire, Neeks Peaks, and Illuminated Minds, Mark Molina, Ara, Plunder, and What's the Obsession, and oh, what's that other one that I love so much? It's kind of like Neeks Peaks, but it's not coming to me at the moment. So my brain just does not work on the spot like that. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And when I have my freaking laptop, I wasn't going to go there, but when I have it and I'm doing my video on my laptop, I can look stuff up on my phone while I'm doing a video. And when I don't have my laptop, I can't look anything up. So what is that other channel? Tluminati. I'm so glad I remembered because I love Tluminati. I will admit that I have trouble keeping up with her too because she does a lot of long lives and I just can't commit to very many long lives. You know, Shan has my commitment for the long lives. I try to catch everything of hers. I still haven't caught everything from last night, but I intend to. And then for the other channels, I try to go with more moderate length material, and I'm sure I'm missing out on a lot of good stuff. So I just want to give huge shout outs to so many of these other channels, and some that I did not mention, like Divine Justice, aka Mrs. G, the Honey Badger, love her name too. There's just a lot of good content creators. The True Crime and Crochet, who did the Sammy Unicorn video. I'm going to put a link to the Sammy Unicorn video in this description because that was such a masterpiece, and she doesn't not produce that much content, and she doesn't have that many subs, and so that masterpiece has really never gotten more than a few hundred views, which is crazy because it's such an excellent drop, and it's very informative, even though it's the same recording of the information of Scammy speaking with Tony from All American Dream Chaser in that interview. It's that exact same verbiage. To me, it was much more informative to hear it kind of out of context without the visual, and then to have this like deadpan rainbow unicorn making all kinds of funny faces, or no face at all, just a deadpan, and it took it to a whole new level. And I've watched it more than once, and I'm sure I'll watch it again now that I'm talking about it, because it's things like that that I glean a lot of information from. Or like Bubbly Water's slowed down version of the Chapin presser a year ago. I put the link to that in the description from yesterday. And Mark Molina did that with Scammy and Lindsay's makeout presser. And it's really important to me to rewatch these things and to watch them at different speeds, because I get more information if I watch it faster or if I watch it slower. It just changes the perspective and makes it very different. So I highly recommend that. That is something that authorities do routinely when they're investigating a case. This is why they record and videotape everything that they can, and their interrogations and their interviews, so that they can keep rewatching them, so they can watch them at different speeds. That's exactly how they scrutinize the material. So let's see, been watching Life Hectic. Always look forward to your lives. Oh, thank you, Poise the Noise. I'm just really at the end of my rope with not having my laptop back from the freaking Best Buy, and I'm gonna just start giving them a lot of bad press because they've had it for entirely too long, and they've been giving me the runaround. And the freaking laptop's only like 5 months old, you guys. I mean, this is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Top of the line gaming computer, purchased it in May, and you know, it had a few hiccups, and I took it in for them to fix because I had the insurance. And they said, well, it's going to take a couple of weeks. We have to ship it off. And I was like, no way, hand it back. I can't live without it for a couple of weeks. And then it started having more hiccups. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to live without it for a couple of weeks. And then they said, well, it could take longer. And yeah, it's taken like a month now, and it is freaking killing me. And I'm just completely like a mental case. Like I could just have a nervous breakdown over it. But as I always like to say, if that's my biggest problem, I'm an extremely lucky soul. So I'm gonna just stick with that and count my blessings. Let's see. Teach me how to make billions. I know. Well, yeah. Remember in the Idaho 4 case early on that Xana's mother had been busted with like millions of dollars worth of fentanyl? And then that went away? Like, fentanyl's cheap. Millions of dollars of fentanyl is going to be a lot. And this stuff is fatal. So you're going to have millions of dollars of an extremely toxic, dangerous substance in the hands of one of the deceased parents? Like, is that true and accurate? Because that information just dried up and disappeared. So, um, yeah. And then, you know, the whole thing with trafficking of the other type is way more profitable than substances. So we've got to keep an eye on that with this whole OnlyFans rumor. Um, you know, photographs, videos, sorority girls, like one photograph in one day can make a huge pile of cash. So that would help with multiplying your billions, wouldn't it? Roz Knight 2. I don't know what you're referring to, Annie. Can I get these COVID checks back? Yikes, alphabet soup, agencies, probs in it then, and probably on it then. So wow, we're already at 50 minutes, you guys. How does that happen? So I have a question for you guys. Do content creators get paid to cover certain cases? Do they get paid to have a certain opinion or take a certain angle on a case? Because it really seems to me that they do. And, you know, we live in a free country. However, that is, it makes it really easy for propaganda. And that's something that I'm concerned about with YouTube. It's something I'm concerned about with mainstream media, is the propagandizing. And, you know, essentially with both of these cases, Kylie Rodney and Idaho 4, the general public and the mainstream media takes law enforcement at their word and trusts what they say and trusts their information and trusts their evidence or lack thereof, that they are doing their job and working for the public safety and having transparency, because it is the law for the government to have transparency, and law enforcement is a branch of our government. So police are given the carte blanche to bend those rules when there's an active investigation, or if it's going to compromise an investigation or compromise, say, an undercover agent. They are allowed to basically lie to protect undercover agents and integrity of cases, which makes sense. But unfortunately, there's too many dishonest people working in law enforcement that use and abuse that privilege and make it, give themselves an advantage and make it really hard for the public to trust. So we all know that in California, the sheriffs of these rural areas, these rural counties, that they are the coroner, the sheriff, and the public administrator. And we have that with Sheriff Moon in Nevada County. We have that with Wu in Placer County. And then that sheriff who found Jolissa Fuentes when he was off duty after midnight, when nobody had been able to find her for, what, a month? And then that whole thing with that other missing couple. You know, it was just in the last 12 hours that I thought, with that other couple that was missing and then wound up deceased, and Kylie Rodney, and both of them allegedly being at the Hot August Nights, that could qualify as a mass casualty event, you guys. Like, I've looked up the definition of mass casualty event numerous times, and it can be as many as two, anything more than one. So was leaving the Hot August Nights a mass casualty event connected to that? Hello, that's crazy. That is completely insane. But anyway, back to the point with the sheriff being the coroner, and then over there in Maui, we've got that with the police chief. So I had to turn that off. Um, the way the laws are there in Hawaii, that's not allowed. But he's created a loophole, or there's been a loophole created where that police chief who is in charge of corralling all of those people into the danger zone of the Lahaina fires on August 8th, um, that he's the freaking coroner. And then he's like counting up fatalities and going backwards, lowering the numbers because, yeah, that's normal. That's what happens. Like, and then the double think, the double speak, like, that's just freaking nuts. But, with Idaho 4, we've got the coroner Mabbitt, Kathy Mabbitt, and then we've got Police Chief Fry, and then we've got the Idaho State Highway Patrol, and we've got the Pullman PD, we've got the Wazoo PD. There's a lot of effery going on with these police departments. We know a lot about Wazoo. We know a lot about Pullman PD. We know some about the Idaho State Highway Patrol corruption and trouble, and the Giglio Brady. And then there's the Giglio Brady that's going on with the Moscow case that seems innocent enough if it's just connected to what was it, the mask wearing and the sticker gate there in Moscow. But then the police said that they didn't have body cam, that they did have. And again, illegal for them to not be transparent. So we've got a department that's lying about something so basic. And of course they're going to have the body cam unless it was malfunctioning, which, that happens a lot too when you ask for things. Mark Molina, work your way to billions in a Speedo. Saw you at end of the live last night. What? Annie Ruler, you're cracking me up. Millions of dollars waiting in OnlyFans. That's what I was thinking, Mark. You need your own OnlyFans. That's too funny. And Susan Dodge says the Hispanic couple, I wonder if they were at Xaname's lovely Mexican party. Oh my goodness. The whole thing with Xaname, I mean, when she came out the first time on the streets of YouTube in the Kylie Rodney case, to my understanding, the first time was when she was on Ickmael, I think. And she was a guest and Upchurch was a guest. And she thought she had everything wired. She thought she was going to spin this case. She did not know Upchurch, and she did not know what she was up against. And I have always been so grateful for his tenacity and his spidey senses. That guy is so sharp, and she's pretty sharp too. I will give her that. And she's got a lot of advantages, being that she's got NASA connections and military connections. But thank goodness for Upchurch undermining her attempt to completely whitewash the whole thing. I mean, she came out on the streets of YouTube to spin it and to propagandize and to, feed us all a crock of crap, in my opinion. And Upchurch prevented that. And maybe that's why he's being sued. And I guess Ickmael is suing him, which, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. No more comments, you guys. Okay, if you're out of comments, then I am too. No, I'm just kidding. Let me take a drink of my water because I am getting a little thirsty here, and we are just hitting an hour. So shall we think about winding down, or is there more stuff to discuss, people? There's always more stuff to discuss, but I think I've discussed everything in my notes, and I can go over the notes to be sure, but once I'm done with everything in my notes, I'm pretty much brain dead. If I don't have it written down, it's not going to come to me usually when I'm live. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I get lucky, but not usually. So, yeah, I just want to reiterate how sorry I am for the families and their losses with all of these cases, with the Idaho 4, with Kylie Rodney. I guess there's another 16-year-old that's gone missing from a party that I saw a thumbnail for a CNY video, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I think it's not close to Truckee. I think it's a totally different area, but still concerning nonetheless. Are you guys familiar? Can you fill me in a little bit? Azaname wet hair, 1:30 a.m. in back of Subaru. Why was she in water that time of night? Car found a day or two later. Yeah. Yeah, like just the whole thing with, she says she was going to Truckee to visit her friend who was fighting cancer, and I guess that was Chucky, the one who was allegedly in a car accident and has since disappeared. And so while she was there, she just thought, hey, I'll help look for this girl because I've got special skills. And she was just lying. She was lying from jump. She was painting a fake portrait of what she was all about and what was going on with her. And then that whole thing with when she stumbled down the hill and she was holding the dog and her cell phone and her charger, and how did she phrase it? She got tumbled. She got tumbled in Truckee. Like, that was weird. And then it was in Shan's live last night, that people were pointing out about Xaname's busted lip and Scammy's busted lip, and how they had the busted lips at the same time. And, it could have been that they both got tumbled at the same time. Maybe they tumbled each other. Maybe it is a hurt bump and they were French kissing. I mean, who knows? But yeah, creepy AF. What is going on there? Up Church. Yeah, we love Up Church, don't we? Free hazmat. I love that. I do love that. Yeah, Up Church did so much for Kylie Rodney's case, and I would imagine that if either the case with her family or with Iqmael goes to trial, that there'll be a lot more truth that comes out. So I hope that happens. I do hope that happens. I am going to wind down, you guys. I appreciate you being here with me. I will show my little love will save the day sign again, because I like to promote positive, stay positive, be positive, be the light that you want to see in the world, and sending you light, sending you love. I hope you have a really great afternoon. I will hope to get on a live even earlier tomorrow and the next day so that I can have longer lives. It would be nice to have like 90-minute or so at least. And I'll have more notes too, so I have more content to cover. But for right now, I just feel like I'm kind of fading and I should wrap it. So have a lovely day. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And where's my handy dandy share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. And I'd like to thank Bubbly Waters for promoting my video. And I'd like to keep promoting her work because she really has a knack for digging deep. And it's phenomenal. Shan is like that too. Shan and Ara are really good at digging deep and staying persistent. And it's tedious. It's very tedious. So more power to them. And, this is why the YouTube is so cool because we can all crowdsource and benefit off of each other. Official propaganda government site. Not sure what you're referring to there. Um, but yeah, I believe you, Dana. You are always on it. So if you'd like to say more about that, please do. I'll continue with my wrapping up part. Have a really good afternoon. I hope you can get some exercise and relaxation, sunshine, fresh air, good nourishment, high protein, high produce. Stay hydrated. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Be very caring towards yourself and very caring towards others. Stay safe and promote wellness. Promote your own wellness, promote wellness around you. NASA, yep, official propaganda government site. And then Crime Circus talking about NASA and Disney and a lot of their work, shall we say. Mark says, that's so cool, Bubbly Waters. Woo woo. Promoted you. You have done great things here every stream, Jazz. Oh, Mark, you're so nice. Let me be honest, because you know how I am. I always want to be straight with you guys. Yesterday, during the entire video, I was thinking, gee whiz, this is one of my worst videos ever. Like, the whole time, I was just like, this is an awful video. I wasn't thinking I'd delete it. I just thought that it was, I was so out of sorts with the glasses being blurry, not being able to read, not having my laptop, noises in the background. There was just too much crap. And when I watched the video afterwards, I was like, you know what? I think it was good. I think it was right on the money. So it's funny. It's funny like that. And you just never know. And then it's all a matter of different people's opinions too. So, for all of the videos for Bubbly Waters to promote, I was like, gee, not that one. I was like totally off my game. But who freaking cares? It's not about me. It's about finding truth and finding justice. And I did feel like I found a huge chunk of truth with that freaking billionaire crap. So I did look up Gates, and he's no more of a billionaire than Zuckerberg. Like, they're both, I think, just under 120 billion. Just under 120 billion. Like, I think Zuckerberg actually had a little bit of an edge on Gates, which blew my freaking mind. These people, man, that much money. And then there's homeless people in Seattle. I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the solutions and the politics and all that, but Gates is in Seattle. All of his billions are in Seattle, not to mention Starbucks and Boeing and Google and Amazon. No, Google is in Northern California, but I think the headquarters were in Seattle when it started. And the year that it started, it was a huge flop. I actually knew somebody who was working there when it was a startup company, and they were expecting themselves to be super successful. But that first year was flatlining, and they weren't so sure how the second year was going to go. That was 98, 99, somewhere around there. I'll have to look it up because, yeah, they've done kind of well for themselves, huh? So on that, you guys, sending you light, sending you love. Thank you so much for joining me. And what else? It says Upchurch is #1. Great sleuthing. I am a huge Upchurch supporter and fan. I think he's fantastic. PJs like me. I'm not wearing PJs today. I'll tell you when I am. They have way too much money. Well, it's a lot of power, and with great power comes great responsibility, to quote Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man. Yeah, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan too. Those first 3 with Tobey Maguire, especially the one with Dark Spider-Man with Thomas Hayden Church and Topher Grace playing the Black Spider-Man. Excellent movie. We can talk about that tomorrow. All right, you guys, have a great afternoon. Sending you light and love. Thanks again, and see you soon. Take care.